I want to make one thing perfectly clear. I hate Wipeout. I've hated Wipeout since the first time I played it, and not because it's a bad game. It's a phenomenally good game. It always has been. It's always been right at the forefront of the software on whichever platform it's appeared on. It's a game of a ridiculous amount of skill when you get to the higher tiers, and that's the reason I hate it. Not because it's a bad game. It's an excellent game. The reason I hate it is because I have always been abysmally poor at Wipeout. I can do okay in the lower speed tier, like the lowest speed tier. I'm alright, bash up a few walls, generally come bottom half, but that's just a road to frustration. So, although I've touched every Wipeout game that came out, I've never stuck with it because I hate. It's not even losing, it's like, it's coming so far behind that you don't even finish the race every single time you get a DNF. That said, we've just had a patch dropped, a free update to the Wipeout Omega Collection, which puts you in VR for the entirety of the game. Everything that's in vanilla is available in VR, plus a few little special items to boot. Welcome to the channel. I'm Abberjam, and today we're playing Wipeout VR. And oh my goodness, everyone's got this reaction. I watched a few videos and everyone's had the same reaction, and I didn't want to have the same reaction, but it's the reaction that it provokes. Just, oh my goodness. I've played quite a few VR. I've got a lot of VR games. I've got 20 or 30 odd VR games, and some of them are good, some of them are great, some of them are pleh. But this is by far and away the most awe-inspiring experience so far I've had in VR. It's incredible. So we're just gonna, and I wish you could watch this in VR the same way I'm experiencing it, because watching it on a flat screen does it absolutely zero justice. So we're gonna hop into a quick single player race, and I'll admit, even though I'm pretty poor, I'm not going to come out of novice. I'm going to stick with the novice skill level. That's just the way I roll. Sorry if that annoys anyone. So we're going to go with Wipeout HD, which is the oldest of the three. This package, it's the Omega Collection, which you may have come across before. It includes HD Fury, which was an expansion to HD, and then 2048, which is the most recent release. So Venom, that's the slowest speed of race. Weapons are on. Novice difficulty. What track? Enulfa, Moath Armor, Gengu. Let's go with Metropia. That's a pretty cool track. No, we're not going to do reverse, we'll do the normal one. So let's confirm that. EGX I've been racing with, I quite like EGX. Where's EGX? The only real complaint I have with this game, in terms of VR games, is the centering system is pretty wonky. I mean, my VR's not in the perfect condition at the moment. There's quite a bit of light in the room, which I've done my best to diminish, but it's quite a bright day today. But the centering system on this is pretty abysmal compared to a lot of other VR games. Alright, let's rock and roll. Now, even at this low of a level, I would be scraping off pretty much every corner wall that came up. But the uncanny thing that racing in VR will do for you, and I can honestly attest to this, having played this same version on the flat screen after having played it in VR for a couple of hours, I'm still abysmal. On the flat screen, I am still an abysmal racer. Now, I'm not saying I'm an excellent racer at this point by any stage, but I'm not abysmal. I'm okay, I would say. But on the flat screen, even on the slowest tier of racing, I'm still absolutely abysmal. I would still be bouncing off every wall. But because you have such a great perception of depth, and because you have that first-person cockpit view, which gives you a much better grasp of when to turn, how to turn, and because you can actually, you know, turn your head in the cockpit around the corner and see around the corner as it's coming like that, which I'm exaggerating, so it's kind of making my racing a little worse. But when you do it just in the normal way that you would if you were driving a car, for instance, it just gives you that little bit more information that you need to actually make accurate maneuvers. It's still no guarantee of perfection. That was just a mean thing to do. Yeah, it's still no guarantee of perfection, but it makes... It's a subtle difference, but it makes a huge impact on your racing. Absolutely huge. I started this game square on, sitting square on my sofa, and already I'm kind of sitting diagonally across the edge of my sofa. I may have to get up and readjust the camera. So that was 4th place. Let me just... It's going to annoy you, but I'm just going to readjust my PlayStation camera. So as I say, the centering is terrible. You have to... It sort of works on how and where the camera is placed, rather than having a button that just sort of adjusts your position to the center of the camera, if you know what I mean. That's still wrong. This is going to look weird to you, I know. I have to apologise. So yeah, I mean, there is a centering of sorts, but it's one of those annoying ones. I'll go over to the right. It's one of those annoying ones where it just sort of, it seems to shift the whole screen like 1 inch to the left or 1 inch to the right, and that's about it. Let's try that. Again, I can only apologise. So hopefully that'll do. Hopefully they'll update it with a much more accurate and comprehensive centering system. If it goes wonky again, I'll show you how the centering in-game works, but it's really pathetic, to be honest. But that's the only complaint I have. If your lighting setup is correct and your headset's not playing up like mine has been doing the last day or two, then it's fine. It'll sit and you can play for hours and it won't move. But as I say, my conditions are a little wonky today. Right, so I'm going to race that again, but this time I'm not going to talk, I'm going to concentrate. Ow. That is entirely in the wrong place, but never mind. Yeah, I wouldn't mind if the warnings came just a little bit earlier. Like, some of them are okay. Like the rocket warning gives you a good time to, you know, move out the way. But for instance, mines, you don't really get much time to move out the way for mines. Like, as soon as she finishes saying the word mines, you start running into them. One of the things I also forgot about from playing earlier days, which I remembered after about 3 hours of gameplay, is you can actually tilt your ship up and down. Like, you can pull the nose up or push it down a little bit, and that helps you with tighter cornering or with sort of better drifting. If you nose up round a corner, you drift more, whereas if you nose in, you get a tighter turn, but it slows you down. So there's sort of a compromise there as to which technique you want to use, and on what particular type of corner you want to use it. You can see now that I'm not talking, I'm concentrating a bit more. I pulled out in the lead fairly early on.
Race complete.
About halfway through the race, I think I pulled out into first place. Now that would never have happened if I was playing on the flat screen. I'd probably have raced about 3 or 4 times around the same track until I'd come out top, or might not have even have got to the top.
First place.
So it's a little flavour of playing in single player. It's a great place to practice. Even if you don't win the races, it's still a good way of practicing your technique and whatnot. But what we're going to do now, to make it a bit more real, is we're going to go and race online with some real personages. But I'm still going to try and find the lowest class of race that I can. And there's only one race on. Okay, they're halfway through, so let's come back to that. I don't want you sitting there staring at a waiting screen. Let's do one more race. Let's do
EGX.
Screen seems to have stabilized a little bit now. Oh, I hate this one. Even in VR, I can't. This is the only race I can't stand doing in VR. All the rest, doesn't matter what position I come or how badly or how well I do, I thoroughly enjoy it. But on this track, for whatever reason, I think because it's so twisty, yeah, I don't enjoy this one at all. Although I did win a couple of times online on this track yesterday. Maybe it's just one of those things that, you know, comes with practice. Work on the ones you hate, and you'll get better at them, and then you won't hate them anymore. Ow! Ow! The AI in this game is pretty, even at low skill level, is pretty ferocious at times. There we go. Damage beyond repair. You can actually repair yourself when you pick up weapons. You can absorb them rather than using them, and that goes some way to replenishing your energy level, which is basically your shield or your health. Okay, let's return to the menus. I can already feel the screen sliding to the right a little bit now. Let's hope it just doesn't keep going. Alright, they're nearly done. Oh, he's playing some kind of combat mode by the look of it. Which I've never done. I just want to race.
EGX.
So, yeah, we're gonna leave that, because it's not what really I'm into. Let's just try the other regions. One thing that I noticed, unfortunately, is not many people are playing in VR. Maybe because the word's not out yet, or maybe just because of the low numbers of people with headsets combined with the low numbers of people with the game, which is a shame because this is the best VR experience, I think, in my opinion, the best VR experience so far that you could have on PSVR in terms of quality and immersion. And I mean, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of really good games out there. Skyrim's very immersive in VR. Nobody's playing. So let's go up to the race box. Let's up things. Let's go to Wipeout 2048. Now, for some reason, it only lists Wipeout HD and Wipeout 2048. So I'm assuming that Fusion has been combined either with HD or with 2048 in terms of its tracks and its ships. I'm just sort of assuming that it's either part of the Wipeout 2048 set or the Wipeout HD set. But I really don't know which one. So Wipeout 2048. C class is the slowest. Let's bump it up a class. Staying with novice because I'm a wuss. Okay, let's do Metro. Good as any.
5-star speed.
Now I haven't played any single player on 2048 yet, so I haven't locked any other ships. Physar is all I've got. But I'm just making my way through chronologically from HD through Fury and then into 2048. Alright, let's rock and roll that. We have this nifty little side step that you can do. Left and right trigger is your air brakes. So you press, if you're turning right, you want to turn sharper. You hit your right air brake, which you can see on the right hand side there is kicking out when I turn. And if you press both of them together, you sort of slamming on the brakes. Oh, first time I've been up there and I missed it. And if you double tap one of your triggers, you actually do a side step in that direction. So if I double tap L2, oh, quit it. It's the worst place to keep respawning, right in the apex of the corner. Yeah, so if I double tap L2, side step to the left, and if I double tap R2, side step to the right. Shouldn't really be doing that in race. Where else am I going to demonstrate it? So yeah, it's more nuanced than you might expect. The sort of strategies and tactics and skill involved. It's not just go forward and shoot things. Come on! Oh, too early. Story of my life. If you look, you can see there my ship diagram there that says 80%, that's my health. And if I absorb the weapon, the shield, which it's not a good idea to absorb a shield, you really want to use it, but if I absorb my shield now, see my health goes up 14%. And again, absorb the cannon, that's back up to 100%. Little handy tip, if you're out front, unless they're really close behind, there's not much point in keeping your offensive weapons. If you have less than 100% health, just absorb them. Get your health back up to 100%. Or save them until your health goes down a bit and then absorb them. Get your health back. If you know you got someone right on your tail, if you got something useful like a missile, homing missile, then it might be worth hanging on just in case they sneak past you and you can smack them up the bum and then get past them again. I always try and, on my mines, I always try and lay them right across a corner, rather than round the corner. It does slow you down a little bit, and it increases your risk of actually hitting the outer edge of the corner, but it's the best way to spread your mind across the corner, so it's got full coverage.
First place.
So that's second tier speed. B class, I think it was. Let's return to the menus. Which, on a flat screen, if I was doing B class, I'd be starting to struggle. A class, probably would never even touch. But in VR, it's a bit of a different story. Right, where's that one I was doing yesterday, which has some really good stuff on it? Is it that one? I think it might be that one. Unity Square. Yeah, I think it was Unity Square. We'll see. Now, in the online section, even if you haven't played the later games like 2048 and you haven't unlocked any ships in 2048, all the ships will still be available to you in the online version. Like every ship in every mode, in every game version is available online, so you don't have to worry about unlocking them. No, it wasn't this one. Oop. I will find it though. Ow! You really have to wait for a good flat section to use your cannon. Otherwise you just bounce off the floor. Ah! Ow! Thanks for slamming me, you scumbag. This is also a game about learning tracks, most definitely. Track knowledge is king in this game. If you know what's coming on, if you know what's coming up, you can really get ahead of the curve, no pun intended. Oh crap. Yeah, and some of the tougher tracks, they start taking away the sidebars, the armcos on the raised platforms, so you can just go flying off them into the void. That really tests your skill. Still turning too tight on that corner. Also really pays to learn where the boost buttons are, the little blue arrows. They give you a little turbo boost for about a second or so. Ow. Yes, they're getting really aggressive at the moment. And why shouldn't they? That's what the weapons are there for. Oh crap. I tend, unless there's somebody quite evidently on my backside, I tend to save my shields for the longer stretches that are more open and make you an easier target. There we go, position 1 of 8. I would never even have touched this class in the flat screen version, because I would have just bounced off over. Now, I was doing a little bit of bouncing, but once I settled myself into the track and learned a few of the corners, did alright. First place. So that's increase or decrease the odds of my winning up to A class, and this is the fastest class. I wouldn't even have dreamed of the thought of the possibility of maybe even mustering the courage to look at that class, let alone race in it. Empire Climb. Is it Empire Climb that I was... No, it wasn't, but this is a good track. I did race this the other day. So I'll just do a couple more races, keep this short, because I do want to do some online racing. So I'll do a couple more races, then go back to the online, and if nobody's doing any proper races online, I'll probably try and come back later today, do another broadcast when there's some online races happening. And then you can see just how poorly I do against actual real human beings. So yeah, this is the fastest class, and yeah, it's not very forgiving at all. But the sensation of speed is fantastic. Ow, ow, ow.
Mines.
Air brakes. Absolutely essential to use your air brakes. And now we're going uphill. The only downsides to turning with your air brakes is obviously they are brakes, so they will slow your speed down a little bit, but it's still better than smashing your face right into the apex of a corner. And you may be able to just about see that there are little diversions, little shortcuts. Well, I don't know if they're shortcuts necessarily, just, you know, they offer you a different style of racing just for a short period. So it might be a shorter route for a more twisty one. So if you're really good at getting your way through chicanes, it might be advantageous to use them. Or they might be a longer but wider, easier route, just if you don't want to go through the chicanes on the main part of the track. So they do offer you some variation in the way you want to tackle the track and potentially get past other players. But as you can see, and I'm not just saying this, I really am terrible on a flat screen with Wipeout. As you can see, I'm pretty much hitting a clean race line most of the time, which I would never, ever, ever be able to do. Even now on this game, if I just turned off my VR and played a VR headset and turned it on played it on TV, even right now if I did that, I'd be slamming into everything. VR just totally changes, although it sounds obvious to say, it changes totally your perspective on the game in a very advantageous way. Now, I've heard one or two people in reviews claim that online it does pit VR players against flat screen players. Now whether that's true or not, I don't know. I haven't researched that. I haven't looked for any quotes from the devs as to whether or not that is actually true. But I have to wonder, if it is true, whether or not that gives a massive advantage to people, like skilled people obviously, but whether it gives a massive advantage to people playing VR, because I know full well that if I played a clone of me, if there was a clone of me playing this in this race right now on a normal TV, I would be absolutely smashing him. And again, not because I've suddenly become a really good driver, but because VR just offers you that much more accurate feeling of what's going on and the ability to react much more accurately. It's fantastic. I'm going to show you a little trick now as well that they've included in the game. When we get to this little drop off, I'm going to do with the stick, I'm going to do right, left, right. You do a little spin, and it gives you a little boost of speed when you hit the ground. It does take up some of your energy, so you have to keep that in mind. So you might want to, after you've done one, you might want to run over a star and absorb whatever weapon you pick up, just to get your energy back, get your shield and health back. But oh my goodness, this is so much fun! I could sit and play this all day, every day, for weeks and weeks and weeks. It runs smooth, there's no blurring. I haven't really ever suffered from motion sickness in the VR, but from the videos that I've watched, I'm told that it's surprisingly low on the motion sickness front, and there are a lot of options put into the options screen for the usual tips and tricks that help you to reduce motion sickness. You have blinkers that come down the sides of the screen and along the top of the screen to narrow your field of vision. You can also change how the camera works. To the menus. You can also change how the camera works so that basically you can stabilize the entire thing, so that instead of rocking and rolling like I was doing, I've got the camera fixed to basically my head, so everything spins around me as we move and turn and twist. But you can lock the camera to the track to help stabilize it, and you can lock the camera to the cockpit, which stabilizes it even further, so the only thing that moves is the picture of the actual cockpit around you, but everything else is totally stable, and I'm told that works really well. So let's have a quick look, see if anyone's playing a normal race. Let's go back to the EU. Alright, he's doing a normal race now, but he's only halfway through, so we'll back out, we'll do one more short race, and then we'll join him. Ultima. Yes, that's the one I was doing yesterday. I love this one.
Ultima. 5-hour speed.
At least I think it's the one I was doing yesterday. I mean, I did lost yesterday, but there was one that came out that I thought I was just going to bang through every corner, like crash through every corner, but I didn't. No, it's not this one either. Damn it! Okay, let's start the race. 6 laps. I think we may have to bail out halfway through. Get back in time for start the other race. Oh yeah, no. I know what this one is. I don't hate this one, but it is one of the more taxing tracks, especially at top tier speed. Ah! Oof. Oh my goodness. Oh, my top crashing into everything. Ah! Ah, I always miss that shortcut. I call them shortcuts, they're really not, they're just alternative routes. But that one is so tight to turn into, I miss it every single time. Ow. I'm not quite sure what ship am I using. I thought I was using Pfizer, but maybe not. This one has a higher top speed. All the different makes of ship, they have slightly different stats. They have there are 2 stats on any ship, which is your speed and your thrust, which is basically your acceleration and your top speed. And so on each ship, those 2 stats are balanced differently, so that you can pick depending on your race style, and also obviously depending on the style of track that you're going to race. If it's got more straights in it, you want one that's perhaps got lower thrust but a higher top speed. That's just the trade-off that you make. Whereas if you've got a really windy twisty one, you probably want one with low high speed or less high speed but a much higher level of thrust, so that if you inevitably crash into the corner, you can get back up to speed a lot more quickly. Ah. definitely, this ship definitely has a higher top speed than the ones I usually pick. I must have absent-mindedly clicked the wrong ship or something. Ow. Okay, there's a little shortcut. It's a little 1, 2, 3 chicane. But if you get through it cleanly, you usually come out ahead. Alright, let's get back into the online. Hopefully they'll be ready to start pretty quickly. Oh. Race 2 of 8. They're not gonna be out of there anytime too soon. So, I guess we'll call that a wrap for today, or for now at least. Hopefully you enjoyed it. I doubt very much you enjoyed it quite as much as I enjoyed playing it, because it's one of the best, not just one of the best VR experiences, it's one of the best gaming experiences I've ever had, period. If you do have a PSVR and you don't have this game, and you're not really prone to sickness, I massively recommend it. It's a little, well, the PSN store in Europe is always the most expensive option. They blame it on taxes and stuff like that. I think it's nonsense. I think they're taxing us because we're a small nation and they need to squeeze every penny out of us. That said, I think on the store it's $32.99 right now, which is still worth every penny of that. But you can, if you're not sure, and I wasn't certain because I hate Wipeout so much, but because I love VR, I wanted to try it out. But because I wasn't certain how well I'd like it in VR, I looked for the cheapest copy I could and found it physical copy for £14, which is about about $20 maybe, which I think you can get in most countries. You can get for the equivalent of $20 American if you get a physical disc. Shop around a bit, and it's certainly worth that price. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. I am going to try and get on a bit later today. Hopefully there'll be more online racing to do. I'll keep checking in, and when there's a good selection of races going on, which tends to be later in the day when everyone's finished work, yeah, hopefully we'll get some online racing done and you'll be able to laugh at how poorly I do against actual real human beings. I've been Abberjam. Hope you've enjoyed the broadcast, and I'll catch you on the flip side.